Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's do a quick little epic Blight Dragon video. We managed to down the boss yesterday. Let's show the stats real quick for this fight. 57.7% crit, 7.5 on Omni, 19.2 on cooldown. I've got 57.99 on Dex because there is a breakpoint at 57.90. So I went ahead and got that so we get a little more attack going. I have 1887 focus because the rest I'm just throwing it at focus. Don't really care too much about that. Make sure that you have at least 100% resonance. If you want to go higher, I believe there's no cap on it. I like 100.3. It's a good balance there. Furious attacks across the board. As always, you want to get your furious attacks going. And then, let's go for the talents here. So for Blight Dragon, I decided to run 3 out of 3 in Assault, 3 out of 3 in Gift of the Opportunity, and I went to 1 out of 3 in Zealous Pursuit. The reason for that is I've been testing Assault 3 of 3 and Gift of the Opportunity 3 of 3 again. And I am not sure if I like it. I think I still like this setup more. 2 and 2 and then 3 here, because it allows me to get more crush value. And crush is just like the best emblem there is, at least for us. So I still like this more, but I decided to test this. And one of the reasons is because when you play with a priest, that opener is, you're going so fast that getting 3 out of 3 on these is really good. But it's only when I play with a priest that I feel it. If I don't have a priest, I'm definitely going back to the other one. But then for Blight Dragon, I went and, as always, if I'm going to add a point on Best Apprentice, I'm going to do so by taking 1 point off of Evade. And so I did it because I need more. I needed Best Apprentice to be able to get an extra burst window, to be able to get extra frenzy throws. And so, yeah, that's the reason behind that. We are doing the 5-1-2 build. People that are asking me whether 5-0-3 is better, whether 5-1-3 is better, whether 5-2-2 is better. I am going to stick with 5-1-2 because it is pretty much a lot easier to obtain that. We're already at 19% since 100 gear level. It's easier to stay here. It also keeps my 4, 6, and 7 synchronized, so I do not like going higher than 19. And then, very important for you guys to understand that getting 2 breakpoints in Omni does not help you as far as your furious attacks is at all. That 11.4% breakpoint is not as valuable as people think. Guys, let's please read what this does, right? Once you reach 11.4%, the damage of Swift Strike is increased by 17%, and the damage of Spectral Slash is increased by 20%. So what? What do you want me to do with this? This is this is worthless. Like, what do you want me to do with this breakpoint right here? So please read before you get hyped up about reaching 11.4. You're going to be disappointed once you reach 11.4 and you notice absolutely no difference between 11.4 and 11.3. Okay? So just make sure that you understand that. This second breakpoint, do not overvalue it. Just throw whatever points or whatever stats you have left on Omni and you're good to go. As long as you're at 19 cooldown and as high as you can on crit, okay? Now, as far as the Inscribe Stone goes, I'm going to try to keep the Inscribe Stone as short as I can, but this is where I get so many of the questions. Okay, so first off, let's go with the emblems, right? There are really only 2 emblems that I feel like are mandatory. and that I will never, ever, ever, ever swap. And those are these two emblems. Crush, because Crush is just, it's pretty obvious at this point. If you're not running Crush and you're playing Duel, I will consider that you might be not necessarily trolling, but kind of trolling. Please run Crush. Do yourself a favor. Just please run Crush. The second is Intertwined Fates. I will never remove Intertwined Fates. The reason why, you would be surprised. The defensive aspect of it. When you're in progression, this emblem will keep you alive more often than you realize. There are many times where I feel like I should be dead, and I check, and Intertwined Fates is rolling on the defensive side. Now, obviously, healers are DRing you and stuff. Obviously, you've got portable healing. Obviously, you've got health pots. But the defensive aspect of this emblem cannot be undervalued. Obviously, the offensive aspect is really good. That's what you want it most for. But I really appreciate the versatility in this emblem. High Energy Potion, really good emblem. I will run it as well. Just because it gives you even more of what you want, which is just damage. Now, Overload, I love it because I can pair it with Crush, and those two as a duo are going to be really good for us. A lot of people don't like running Overload. I don't understand why not. I think Overload is really good. And then Warlike Surge is my fifth emblem because I like the high roll nature of it. If you got Warlike Surge online, which by the way is a long time, this emblem has a lot of uptime for it to be 4% chance. So I like it for the high roll nature of it. So here's where I get a lot of questions. If I don't have good rolls on these emblems, what can I run? Well, you can go for Shatter. Shatter is good. You can maybe go for a Strive if you have a good Strive. Maybe go for a good Strive. I don't think you go for Burst. It's not good enough. I don't think you go for Sprawl. Not good enough. But if they are the only ones that have good attributes, then you can kind of go for them, but try to replace them as fast as you can. You will never go for Out of Control. Do not play that emblem ever. So pretty much Shatter would be the other option. I get a lot of questions about Lewins. I will never run this emblem. The reason why, first off, you need to roll a good Lewin's Wish. So you need to get a Lewin's with upper whatever or lower whatever to keep your resonance notes boosted or to keep these notes boosted, and then you have to roll the rare attribute. So just rolling a good Lewin's is already complicated enough. And then the amount of damage you get from this emblem will never justify the amount of gold you spend to run this emblem. So in order to get the full value from Lewin's, you have to burst pot during your burst window, right? So this means that you're going to be running, if you want to get the full value from this emblem, you want to get 3 Furious attacks off in your burst window, right? In order to do that, you need to have a lot of haste. And in order to get this haste, you need to be having Thirst Battle, which is 10%. You need to have a tier 3 potion basin. You need to have a tier 3 burst pot. You need to have a tier 3 potion, a tier 3 lasting potion. And then there may be something else that you need as well. And you're going to do that on every burst window, on every pull, throughout progression. this will destroy your gold. I mean, look at my gold. I'm at 74.33 gold, and I don't run Lewins. Imagine where I would be if I ran Lewins and I would actually try to get the most value from this emblem. I'd be broke. More broke than I am. So for people who keep asking me to run Lewins and test it, guys, I ran this emblem for like 15 minutes and I threw it in the trash. Because the damage you get from this emblem does not justify the gold that you are spending. It is not even close. I can't even believe that this is even a consideration. Now, if you have the gold to throw away, if you've got enough gold to spend and waste, by all means, if your Lewins has good rolls with the rare attribute, run it, have fun. It is still not worth the amount of gold. Like, you are absolutely destroying your gold, especially if you're not getting kills. Because what, you want to look good on a DPS meter while you wipe? Really? Is that what we're doing nowadays? So yeah, I will never play this emblem unless consumables start becoming very cheap, which is not the case at the moment. So yeah, these are the emblems I am running. And let's see here. More questions about the Inscribe Zone. I'm running 3 out of 3 in the core node. Is this important? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Why? Because during progression, you're not really going to play around your Fatuina stacks. if people are telling you that they are holding their burst windows during progression for their Fatuina stacks to reach 15, they're doing one of two things. Either they are being disingenuous and they're not telling you the truth, or they're not really doing progression. They're just doing regular epic bosses where it does not matter when you press, you're going to clear the fight. If you are doing progression, you are not paying attention to where your Fatuina stacks are, because there is a moment in the fight where your cooldowns are needed and you have to send your cooldowns regardless of how many stacks you have. So going 3 out of 3 here or 1 out of 3 is not going to make a difference in what you do. Okay? So is this important to be 3 out of 3? No, it is not important. You know what is important? Let's get those ones out the way. 3 out of 3 in every resonance node, 100%. Those are a must. You know what else is important? 3 out of 3 in every crit node. That is a must. You know what else is important? 3 out of 3 in every cooldown node. These are important. These are priorities. 3 out of 3 in a core node that you barely play around is not important. The reason why I am 3 out of 3 here is because we are level 100 and I don't know where else to put the points. You know what I mean? So don't pay too much attention to this being 3 out of 3. Where else am I putting my points? Well, I'm doing focus just because they're at 50%. I'm doing 3 out of 3 in this dex node because it's at 50%. I'm doing 3 out of 3 in the Omni nodes because, as I said, I'm going for the 5 on crit, 2 on cooldown, and everything else, I'm throwing it on Omni. That is my build, okay? So, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the Inscribe Stone goes, right? I feel like I've pretty much taken care of that. So now, let's get into the video. So as I told you guys, I have a priest. And this is the first time that I'm running with a priest. I never understood the power that priests give you when they buff you. I now do not want to play without a priest ever again. That's how much power they give you. So now if I'm joining a group, the first thing I'm doing is I'm checking if there's a priest. You know what I mean? All right, so let's see this video. So this fight does not change a lot. The new things are that once you share damage, it's not going to be thrown at tanks, right? Let me just explain that real quick. When you get the meteor damage, now you can't just like it's not on tanks, it's on people. So what we did is group 2 stacks on the right side of the dragon, group 1 stacks on the left side of the dragon, and the mechanic is done. So that's really not something to be worried about. Another thing is now instead of spawning 2 elemental ashes, you're going to spawn 4. So 4 people are going to get targeted by it. But it's the same concept. Drop them as close as you can so that you can AoE them down with minimal downtime. But you have to take care of them because now, because there's 4 ads that are pulsing AoE damage, right? So you want to take care of them as fast as possible. And then everybody does lines, not just the 6 DPS, which means tanks and healers are really the only ones that have to do lines now, because DPS, you have been doing lines for like a month now. So yeah, that's really the only new thing, or at least that I can remember at the moment. So let's just play this out. We're going to open up with the boss, as always, with 42163. Ideally, if you don't get a weakness inside proc, you keep alternating your 2 and your 1 until you get it. Fortunately for me, I was able to get the weakness inside proc pretty early on in this pull, so we're just going to send the cooldowns. And then, as always, you want to position yourself to the right side of the boss here, because the pyro ad is going to spawn on the right side of the boss. And now you're just on top of the pyro ad. You want to kill it before it is able to kill the beacon. That was a little slow considering everybody's on the opener. And now you see how the tanks moved the boss here. The reason why they did that is so that when the next beacon spawns, we can be right on top of the ad as soon as possible. So this was really good by the tanks. Now, most of the tanks that you're going to pug are going to stand still where we were tanking the boss initially. So you're going to have to try to be efficient with your movement. These tanks that we're playing here are actually active tanks. So they actually enable your damage more than they hinder it. So now you see we shared the damage, group 2 shared damage, group 1 shared their damage, and now we're going to get knocked back. This is another good example of having the tanks. So the tanks stayed back so that the boss runs back to them, instead of them staying here and tanking the boss here and then forcing everybody to run back and clear the pyro at. No, they are staying back so that the boss runs back to them. And now we get uptime, and when the pyro ad spawns, you are on top of it. Again, you're probably not gonna pug tanks that are gonna do this, so just be sure that there is a pyro ad that will spawn behind the boss if they do the typical tanking, right? But now we are entering this burst window. Once again, guys, try to get the appropriate setup for this burst window, right? So right here, see how I furious attack and I get the crit. Now I know that I have my seal talent. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to prepare myself for a weakness inside proc, which I don't have at the moment, but I got it right there. And now we send everything. 325k burst, 106k, that's unfortunate, 180k. So the second one doesn't crit, and it's unfortunate because it takes away the seal talent, so it's your burst window is not that good. So unfortunately, we didn't have a good burst window there, by duel standards, obviously. But we're still doing good damage here. Take care of the beacon. The pyro ad has to die. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to do lines here, and everybody has to do lines. I was assigned to the red marker, therefore I am standing on the red marker. And now we do lines. Do not move before the lines go out. After the lines go out, you are safe to move. Dodge these swirlies. DPS the boss while you do so. And now we are going to share damage again. That's why I'm standing on the right side of the boss, because I am group 2. Now we had a player soak both meteors, so he died. We got him up. And now here is the part where the third point in Best Apprentice comes in handy. See my cooldowns? See how they are going to perfectly line up with the Inscribe stone for this prison. Now I'm going to burst this prison. It's a little bit of a rushed burst, but I get the burst off. Now, unfortunately, you're going to see that, right? Like, I get 1 furious attack, 2 furious attacks, so we don't even get a good burst window here either. So that's 2 bad burst windows, but at least we get something there. It's always better to get something than to just hold on, right? So now we're gonna finish this pyro ad off. Unfortunately, right, you can see there's a lot more damage to be done, right, if things go our way, but it's fine. Now here, this is a slight misplay on my part. I'm staying on boss because I don't have movement, but then I decide I should probably get over there, and then I get hit with this mechanic. So now there's downtime here throughout, but it is what it is. We're going to take care of these 4 ashes. See how I told you that now it's going to be 4 ashes? You want to be taking care of these guys as fast as possible because this is pulsing AoE damage, as you can see. I get hit with the orb mechanic. I have to make sure that I clash this purple orb with the other one. There it is. Very clean. Now let's make sure that we kill this last ash and we get back on the prison. You don't want to kill the prison while doing the ashes because this pyro ad, you're going to have to swap to it while the ashes are out. So if you take care of the ashes first and then the pyro, it's going to be a lot easier. So you don't have to kill the pyro. Obviously, the pyro is going to kill the beacon if you allow it, so he becomes priority, and then the ashes are going to get free cast on your team. Now, here is where I mess up. So let's play that back real quick. I missed a lot of damage here. You're going to notice it. So first off, this is a sequence of me playing great into me playing bad. So I've mentioned this before. Look at right now, I'm pausing the video. You guys are probably going to ask yourself, what would you do in this situation when you get back on boss? 99% of Duel players would cast Assault to get to the 12 o'clock weak spot and then press Furious Attack. That would be a mistake in this situation. Because in this situation, what you want to do is get your Seal talent online, right? How do you do that? By creating Furious Attack, which means when I get back on this boss, I will have so many crush stacks that the only correct button to press is Furious Attack. The chances of this Furious Attack critting are super high. See how I'm just spamming Furious Attack? Look at this. I know what the correct play is way before I get to the boss. Look at this button. I'm going to start spamming it. Look at this. Boom, there's the crit. I'm not throwing that Furious Attack to do damage. I'm throwing that Furious Attack to get my Seal talent. Because, sorry for that, because the burst window is coming right up. So I need my Seal talent online, right? And now I'm going to fish for the weakness procs. I've got it. And so now as soon as he goes down, I'm going to go in. Now here's my mistake. If you know, you already noticed it. If you don't know, I'm going to play it back. My mistake is I do 4, right? I get the weakness proc. I do 4, 6, because I already have the weakness proc. There's no reason to throw the 1 in there in between. So I go 4, 6, 7, 3, and I get a energy savings proc on my thirst battle. What does this mean? This is a guaranteed good burst window. Guaranteed. No questions asked. Unless you botch it, which is what I did. The rotation, if you get an energy savings proc on your thirst battle here, should be 4, 6 if you already have the weakness proc. If you don't have it, then you go for the 4-1 to fish for it. But because I already had it, then I went straight into 4-6. 7-3. And if you get the energy savings proc on your thirst battle, you need to go 1-1-6-3. Because thirst battle is going to guarantee that your Furious Attack procs. But we're doing Damage Amp. I'm burst potting. I've got the Priest buff online. I'm going so fast. I just mistimed it. That's just my fault. There's no excuse for it. I mistimed it. I need to be better about that. Because the RNG, I can't blame RNG on this one. I had everything, right? Look at when I press Thirst Battle. See? I crit an assault instead of boom, the furious attack. And I had a lot of time as well. I was just trying to be maximum efficient with it. I should have held it and just done 6-3. See? Right there. That's the mistake right there. And see, we get 143k non-crit. We get punished for it. It's unfortunate. So there was more damage to be done here for sure. But we finish off the burst window. Dragon is going to stand up. And the dragon is standing up at 9%. Really good for us. Because now he's going to knock us back. Wow, I hit him with a 100k furious attack on the fadeaway. We run back to dragon. And we're just going to pretty much finish him off. But we are going to be seeing a couple of sets of mechanics. So we're going to bring the boss back to the markers because we will do lines at some point. Now we are doing the second set of ashes. Again, run as together as you can. Drop them together. We make the call. Dragon is low, but we probably should not ignore the ads. Because we can die, right? So we're just finishing the ads up here. Let me see if I get a seal talent. Yep, there it is. I crit the furious attack. So now seal talent is online. What am I going to do now? I'm going to try to fish for the weakness inside procs, right? And there they are. Now it's a matter of just going. Let's look at this burst window. 172k on the execution phase. 57k, that's not going to be good. Yeah, 41k. So this one we can blame RNG on. This one is RNG is to blame, right? But the previous one, we botched it. But yeah, down goes the dragon. And this is, what is this? This is a 14k. Apparently, I did not check exactly. No, I never checked the damage breakdown. So I don't know if that's 14.1 or 14.9. So if I get a proper burst window off during my execution phase, which was guaranteed, and I botched it, and then if I get a good burst window off on that last burst window instead of just not critting, and then if I maybe get a good burst window off on the prison, right, instead of getting only 2 furious attacks. My first burst window had 1 crit and then 1 not crit. So we didn't have not even 1 elite burst window, and this is 14k. So this can go to like 17k easily if we play correctly and if we get lucky. But really, the only thing we could have done better there for as far as the burst window goes is when we get that energy savings proc on Thirst Battle, guarantee that second crit by going 6-3 again, which is just basic stuff. I just mistimed it. That's just poor play on my part. The other ones, unfortunately, RNG will take the wheel sometimes, but still, a 14k, 14 point whatever that is really good damage for Dragon. So this pull could have probably ended up at 15k, maybe 16k, depending on what the exact damage is, if I just play correctly during that last burst window. But yeah, this is a 28-minute video. It's a pretty long one, but this is Blight Dragon, and I also answered a couple of questions that people had as far as the Inscribe zone is concerned. So yeah, I will probably see you guys back for either Challenge Mode Spider, which we may kill soon, and then maybe also do Challenge Mode Dragon, which is really the only thing that gets my blood flowing these days. Nothing else is getting me pumped up. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. GG's.